Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm going to talk about Latam's ancillary growth story. And I will start by introducing Latam to all of you. Latam is a group of airlines connecting South America to the world. And we are almost recovering from COVID. The figures you have here are January 23. We were at 86% of our activity from pre-pandemic times, flying 1,400 flights to 144 destinations in 22 countries. Just to get a sense, can you raise your hands, those who work in airlines? Okay, a lot. Good. I'm going to tell you this story about our digital transformation. This is a story parts of which I lived in first person, parts of which I was told by others. So in the following slides, for sure, there will be some cognitive biases. I will have mixed, not intentionally, some facts with opinions. So I wanted to say that in the first place, apologize for that, and remind you that what works in some contexts might not work in others. So now the disclaimer is made. And we can start, and we will start with the why. Why did we transform? And the main reason to transform was not to reduce costs, was not to escape a legacy deadlock, and was not to increase revenues, although we were interested in those. The main reason was to respond fast to a scenario of accelerated change, both from our customer preferences and from new incumbents entering the arena. And how did we do it? First of all, we lay out some important foundational guidelines. The most important one of them is that we created a completely new and separated business unit. We call that Latam XP, that had accountability end-to-end of the business outcomes and a hierarchical structure that contained almost all the levers to get those outcomes. Or in other words, we put commercial and IT together under one roof, and we got people from customer, finance, legal, and HR to make sure that we got on board everybody that was needed to make this challenge. Second thing, we were super bold, simplifying business rules. And third, we decided to go for a completely new architecture, free of legacy components. Then we went for a journey-based omni-channel approach. 2 journeys, order to cash and door to door. And we started with 3 channels, the web, the app, and the tool for contact center agents. Then we expanded to WhatsApp and NDC. And third, we decided to roll out by market. This is difficult because it implies that for a long period of time, we had coexistence of the old site and the new site. This was confusing for our customers, but allowed us to learn a lot. In the graph, what you see is the proportion of transactions between the old site and the new site. You can see that we started this project mid-2019, and we rolled out the first market in May 2020. We chose the smallest market, Ecuador, because that way we didn't have that much attention from the organization, and hence we had more freedom. And then we rolled out Chile, Colombia, Brazil, Peru. This took us almost a year. But even at that moment, if you see, we didn't reach 50% traffic yet. We needed more time, and it was by the beginning of 2022 when we rolled out the redemption flow that we were able to drain down traffic to 0. And this transformation brought many improvements. We were able to validate our value hypothesis when we launched the MVP in Ecuador. And we got better conversion, payment effectiveness, average buying time, you name it. This is an ancillary conference. And we also got substantial ancillary growth from this transformation. We got improved take rates by better displaying more products in the booking path. And we got an increased average fare by delivering a touchpoint-based pricing segmentation. And that's the growth we got over the last 3 years. These are the COVID years. And this was much more than what we expected would have happened by keeping the status quo. And the reason behind this growth, of course, is this capability of touchpoint-based pricing segmentation. That's at the core. That's super important. But there were two additional factors that played in, which I want to talk about. The first one is technological excellence. We decided to go for a domain-oriented microservice architecture and the first principles approach. This means that principles defined our practices and behaviors in our day-by-day. These are the 12 architecture principles that we followed. I will not go through all of them, but I can tell you that I have two favorites. Number one that says that customer goes before technology, and number 5 that says learn fast, limiting negative effects. This principle was what inspired us and encouraged us to go and do millions of tests in production without affecting our customers, and thanks to which we learned a lot, much more than we could have learned by doing tests in pre-productive environments. This is how our architecture looked like. It's a very high-level representation. You can see it's a layered architecture. You have the channels, the touch points, and the business capability layers that conform the products, and then the micro capabilities and the anti-corruption layer that conforms the platform. And this abstracts us from the core systems, the PSS and the loyalty system. These layers allow for maintainability and easy and rapid change. Then the platform plays a key role, and that is to remove complexity away from the core systems so that the product teams can focus solely on bringing and creating customer value. And the core modules of the platform, of course, are offer and order, but we also have payments and user. How does it look in reality? This is 1 hour of activity representing all the service calls that happen in our architecture. We operate a very large system, more than 1,100 services. We render more than 5 million pages per day, serve more than 1.2 billion requests, and store more than 8 terabytes of logs per day. And the reason and the value of all this technology, it's speed of change. This architecture brought huge speed of change that allow us to launch 9 ancillary products in 11 months, and explains an important part of the growth on the first 2 years of this journey. The second factor I want to talk about is customer centricity. And I think that in our industry, to speak about customer centricity, we need to make a paradigm shift. We've been used for years to the 80-20 approach of legacy core systems. Those systems were designed to solve 90% of the use cases for 90% of the airlines. They have historical limitations, huge complexity, technical depth, and if you just use the box as it is, your customer will get it right 80% of the times, and the other 20% of the times will have to go through excruciating experiences in the contact center. I was talking to someone that told me that the last problem she had with an airline took her 5 hours of her life. Amazon hasn't used 1 minute of my life, and I've been an Amazon user for many years. What you see in the image, it's the response of a very modern service of the latest API layer of one of those core systems. If you read, you can see, please call the call center for the assistance. And that's the answer of a digital service. In the end, what happens is that the back centers gets it right 80% of the time, and the other 20, he fails. And this creates failure demand for the airline and a horrible experience for the customer. This failure demand can be errors, and the customer gets the typical, oops, something went wrong, try again later. Or that he's trying something that is out of digital scope, in which we tell them, please contact us through our contact center to solve this request, or he just leaks. And reality is that the errors problem is a huge one. And it's not normal to measure this precisely, but once you do it, you can discover that in some flows, in some use cases, it can go up to 30% rate of errors. With the leakage, the problem is that you never know which of these users are leaving because they want to do it later, and which ones are leaving because they are so confused that they simply couldn't make it. What we envisioned is this 99-1-0 approach. What do we mean by that? We want 99% of our customers to be able to buy, exchange, and refund seamlessly. We know that some will fail. We want it to be as little as possible, hopefully 1%. And those, we want to assist them in the best possible way. And we want 0 customers in hell. And we call that the Latam digital service model. What's the vision? When you have this difficult problem that the contact center cannot solve, sometimes you end up going to the city ticket office. Because you know that when that happens, you will be there. You will have a human in front of you. This human will have another human that will be the manager that has the authority to make exceptions. And no matter how, you will go out with your problem solved, right? This is the kind of reliability that we want to give to our digital channel. We want to make it as reliable as the contact center. We want to be able to tell our customers, go and solve it on the page, you will get it. Yeah? And once you get there, you can think about crazy things, like closing the contact center. In order to do that, in order to get this 99-1, which is very aspirational, we have 2 levers. Measure the failed customer interactions precisely and relentlessly reduce them, and capture all residual failure demand and solve it through our digital assistant. And I'm going to talk now about these 2 levers before I close. First one is failed customer interactions. What is it? Observing this kind of microservice-based systems is very, very complex. So what we created is this construct in which in every interaction, we create a trace, a track ID that identifies this request and that allow us to know exactly what has happened when we succeed and when we fail. And with that, we are able to know how many errors we have, which action created them, and what was the service that created the error. If you work in digital, you have for sure received a WhatsApp like this. Somebody with a screenshot of your page not working, saying, hey, I've been trying this for 2 days, I cannot buy. Depending on the person, it ends up saying your site is crap. That depends, but I get that sometimes. What I used to do in my previous life after this kind of messages is to go inside and try it myself, then to check if there had been an opcon. And if both were negative, I would craft a professional sounding answer and go on with my life, because errors happened and there was nothing I could do. That's what I can do now. What you see here is this Santiago, Mexico flight that the user clicked, and when the brands rolled down, the information didn't display. This action is called search result bundle detail, get bundle detail, okay? I know that in the last 40 days, this action has been requested 1.159 million times, and that out of all of those requests, 16,344 failed. I know I have a 1.42 failure rate on this particular action. And we have this visibility for every action of every touch point of every journey on every channel. This visibility is top-down, and we can filter for many dimensions, but it's also bottom-up, so we know which are the artifacts creating these errors. And with this, we can prioritize backlog to solve mistakes, knowing exactly which are the errors we want to prioritize. And it's also an amazing tool to create customer-centric cultures. Imagine a developer working in the anti-corruption layer. It's a guy that spends all his day looking at black screens, very far away from the customer. But with this, he can connect his work to the impact he's creating in the customer. And after using this for some months, you start to realize that the customer is present in all the conversations happening in our digital shop. So, sorry, just to close on FCIs. All this is the reason why I tell you that I think that this FCI construct is the ultimate failure demand killer. I go to the other lever, which is the digital assistant. Remember, we have these three types of failure demand. Our digital assistant is a combination of technology, AI, and specialized agents. For the involuntary leakage, we use AI to make sure that when the passenger is leaving, he's leaving because he wants to, not because he's confused. And if he's confused, we help them solve the problem. For the other two situations, what we do is a proactive identification of the situation. We gather all the information, and we do a personalized redirect to a specialized agent. What are the benefits of that? For the customer, he experiences a fully digital experience. The first contact resolution rate of the digital assistant is much higher. We have shrinked handling times and delight levels customer satisfaction. For the agents, it's also great. They get higher specialization, training gets easier, better employee net promoting score, and lower turnover rates. And for the product teams, for the first time, they have complete visibility of the problem. Before, they didn't know what happened in the contact center calls. And with this visibility, we can foster end-to-end accountability. Maybe it's a bit abstract, so I want to share a video in which you will see the digital assistants in practice. Gary, can you help me with that? Here what you see is this bullet in which you can also go and ask questions. And the frequently asked questions that are offered are dynamically changed based on the moment of the touch point. Here you will see a broken experience doing an involuntary change on the web. It didn't work. And we offer him to solve it through the chat. And the chat gets contextualized, and behind there's a specialized agent. And this experience is omni-channel. So what you saw in the web, now you will see it in the app. In the app, we switch to WhatsApp. We still haven't developed the web chat in the app. And we lose a little bit of traction with the channel shift, but still works much better than a real call. That's the digital assistant. And with these two levers, I think that we understood the importance of customer centricity. During 2022, we didn't launch a single ancillary product. We were completely devoted to solve errors. And by doing so, we got this increase in ancillary revenue. And that's the reason for our growth between 22 and 23. So I will close just repeating what I had said. The digital transformation that we did in Latam brought amazing benefits for our customers. And among them, a substantial growth in ancillary revenue. The reason for that was, for sure, the touchpoint-based pricing segmentation that was at the core, but there were two additional factors that helped this growth: technological excellence and customer centricity. Thank you.